Okay, so the theme of this lesson is solving equations that have variables on both sides. If we remember, the word variable means something we don't know. And in this case, we have x, and that's the something we don't know. We don't know what x is. So I've started out this lesson with a little bit of some information here for us. We have 3x is equal to x plus 8. And so some of the hard parts about this concept is we need to essentially be okay with the fact that there is two equations that are equal to each other and x is on both sides. So looking at this information, looking at these two statements, we have 3 x's on one side and 1 x and then 8 of something we know on the other side. So in all reality, what we could do is we can take one of these x's away on both sides. So technically what we're doing is we are subtracting x from both sides. And if we were to do that math and show our work, 3x minus x is going to get us 2x, and that is going to be equal to x minus x is 0 plus 8. So essentially what we have remaining is 2x is equal to 8. Now if 2x is equal to 8, what is just one single x? What we could do after that is we could divide by 8, or sorry, not divide by 8, but divide by 2 on both sides. And we have x is equal to 4. So that is how we can initially start this. Essentially, we have 2 x's, 1, 2, that's equal to 8 pieces here, and we can split that up evenly. We could say, okay, here's 4 pieces that goes with one x and 4 other pieces that goes with another x. So x would equal 4, so we could check that work. Okay, so let's now move on and let's do another problem. Our next problem, we're using the same sort of concept. We're going to say 7x is equal to 5x plus 4. So essentially what we could do is we could draw this out. We could say 7 of these babies. Yes, my drawing is beautiful. I used to have a beautiful drawing, but then I erased it, so this is just what you guys get. Sorry. Plus 4 dots. All of this is equal. So looking at this whole looking at all this that we have, what we could do is we could say, well, 7x plus 5x, or is equal to 5x plus 4. I see x's on both sides, and I see the same number of x's on both sides almost. I could say that I see 5 x's on this side, and I'm going to erase them, and I'm going to erase 5 x's from this side. So there's 3 x's, and there's 2 more, so there's 5 x's. So essentially doing the math that we just did there, I just subtracted 5x from both sides. Let's draw our huge thing. So if we have 5x's subtracted from both sides, 7x minus 5x is 2x. If we look at our drawing, that's what we have. 2x is equal to these 4 left over. This 5 minus 5, or 5x minus 5x, that just all disappears. So now our last little step that we can do is we can divide by 2 on both sides, and all we have remaining is x is equal to 2. Looking at the math, we have 2 x's on one side of this drawing, and we have 4 dots, so of course one of these is equal to 2, and the other one is equal to 2. So x, the thing that we don't know, is equal to 2. Now we can check our work also. So we have 7 times 2 is equal to 5 times 2 plus 4. 7 times 2 is 14. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 4. Yeah, 10 plus 4, that equals 14. So yes, it checks out. Now let's move on and do... I just made another funny little line. Let's move on and do one more equation that's a little more complicated. Okay, so on this equation, we have 2x plus 3 is equal to 3x minus 2. Minus sign should be in red. Minus 2. There we go. 2x plus 3 equals 3x minus 2. So let's think inverse operations here, and let's also try to combine like terms. That's all we were doing the last time. Combining like terms means we're going to get all the x's together, and we're going to get all of our whole numbers together. So our x's, we have 2x and a 3x. And what I suggest that you do so you don't make this harder for yourself is look for the easiest way out. I have 2x on this left side right here, and I have 3x on the right side. If I were to subtract 2x from this side and 2x from this side, I am essentially making this 0, and I am having just a single x remaining. In the middle, we still have our equal sign, and we still have a 3, and we have a minus 2. The reason why I did that is if I had gone the other way, if I had subtracted 3x on this side and subtracted 3x on this side, I would end up with a negative x. And that just makes craziness. I don't like that. It doesn't, negatives don't sit as well as having something that's positive. So we have now 3 equals x minus 2. So looking at this information, let's see what we can do now. We want to get x all by itself, so we want this x to be all by itself, and in order to do that, we need to use the inverse of operation of subtracting 2. What is that inverse operation? It is adding, that's the opposite of subtraction, adding 2 to both sides. So we're going to add 2, oops, I'll do that in the right color, 2 to both sides. If we do that, we have our equal sign. Over here on the right hand side, we just have our x remaining because negative 2 plus 2, that equals 0. So we just have our x remaining, and on this other side, on the left hand side, we have 3 plus 2 equals 5. So x, according to this situation, equals 5. Let's check our work though. Let's make sure we're right. So if we were to put in 2 times 5 plus 3, does that equal the same thing as 3 times 5 minus 2? Does it? Let's see. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 3. Is that equal to 3 times 5, which is 15, minus 2? 10 plus 3 is 13, equals 15 minus 2 is 13. So yes, we found the right answer in this x equals 5. Okay, so now here is our very last problem. It's going to appear magically. So watch this magic. Ready? Alakazam. See, I'm totally magic. Redbird Cruises charges $85 a day plus a one-time fee of $75 for taxes and gratuities. King Cruises charges $100 per day plus a fee of $30. Write and solve an equation to determine for what number of days the charge for the cruises will be the same. All right, so we're going to use our cube method. I'm going to circle first all of the numbers. Ooh, I don't like that color. I'm going to change that color. I'm going to circle in red our numbers. So we have $85 per day, $75 for taxes and gratuities. We have $100 per day, and $30 as a fee. Now let's underline the important information. We have Redbird Cruises. I feel like that's important information because we're talking about two different companies. Redbird Cruises charges $85 per day plus a one-time fee of $75 for taxes and gratuities. Then we have King Cruises. They charge $100 per day plus a fee of $30. Now let's figure out what is the question. Write and solve an equation to determine for what number of days the charge will be the same. So we need these two equations this equation that we make For Redbird cruises and the one for King cruises, we need them to be equal to each other. We need them to be the same. So I'm going to write the little equal sign there. Everything else, I think we can cross out. So I'm going to cross out charges, plus A for taxes and gratuities. Charges again, plus A to determine, and this. So let's look at this information. Let's start out with Redbird cruises. Let's make an equation for Redbird cruises. We have, for Redbird, we have $85 per day, and we don't know how many days, so I'm going to call that X. That will be our variable, 85X, because it could be 10 days, it could be 2 days, plus a $75 fee. Okay, and all of that will be equal to our King cruises. I'm going to do this one in green. We have $100 per day. Again, we don't know the X, we don't know the number of days, so there's our variable, plus a fee of $30. So the reason why I set them equal to each other is because we are looking for when they are going to be the same. We need to find out how many days, our variable, we need to figure out how many days we are going to have to take this cruise on both Redbird cruises or King cruises for everything to be the same. So we have 85X plus 75 is equal to 100X plus 30. So let's get rid of these arrows and let's solve this equation. Let's try to figure out X. Let's try to figure out the number of days we need. So looking at this, I have 85X on one side and I have 100X on the other. I see that 100X is bigger than 85, so I'm going to subtract 85X from the left side and subtract it from the right side as well. I'm doing this on both sides to keep everything equal, so everything stays balanced. But 85X minus 85X, that gives me 0. So on this left-hand side, I just have 75 is equal to 100X minus 85X. That gives us a 15X, and it's a positive number because the 100 was bigger. It's a positive integer, plus 30. So now 75 equals 15X plus 30. Now we need to combine our whole numbers that don't have variables attached to them. Let's get everything to the left-hand side so that way we have eventually X just all by itself. So we can do the inverse operation of adding 30. The inverse operation of that is subtracting 30. So we could say minus 30 on both sides. 75 minus 30 gives me 45 is equal to 15X. And 30 minus 30, that equals 0. So 15X is equal to 45. Again, we need to get X all by itself. We're looking for X all by itself. In order to undo a multiplication of 15, we can divide by 15. Divide by 15. So 45 divided by 15 is 3, is equal to X. So essentially what this information means is if you were on Redbird cruises for 3 days, it would cost the same exact amount as if you were on King cruises for 3 days. And that total amount would be like $330. But there you go. Hope you have fun.